Hello, everyone. My name is Mark Kageyama, and I'd like to welcome everyone here to Be Your Own Hero. From all over the world, thank you for joining us. Please subscribe, make a comment in the comment section of the video. And we are so thankful that you are here to join us. And we just had Thanksgiving, and it was absolutely fantastic here in our new home in Texas. And we have our new granddaughter that we've been enjoying and who's been keeping all of us up. But it's all good. It's just been a tremendous blessing for this move and to be with our daughter and son-in-law and our new granddaughter. So yeah, I hope everybody had a fantastic Thanksgiving if you celebrated Thanksgiving. And I am so excited today because I have somebody I've been trying to get on for a while and finally got her. And her name is Hayley Dubin. And I'd like to introduce her right now. Hayley, please introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about who you are and what's going on.
Well, Mark, thank you so much for having me. I'm really looking forward to our conversation. And really, I'm an average girl who at 29 ended up with a cancer diagnosis, ovarian cancer, stage 3C. I have two boys, 24 and 27, and I married my high school sweetheart. We live in Beechwood, Ohio. We actually went to school there, and that's where we met. And so we haven't gone very far. But I'm just grateful for my health and to help others and to connect with people like you.
Hey, thank you, Hayley. That is so great. I would have never guessed that you have two children that at that age. I mean, wow. That
Well,
that's
thank you. Yeah, my
that's
son was 2 when I was diagnosed.
wow. Wow. How were you able to navigate that with a 2-year-old?
Ah, yeah, it was pretty tough. It was pretty tough. I went through 2 surgeries and chemotherapy, and I had to stay in the hospital for 5 days each time I had my chemotherapy. So my husband stayed with my 2-year-old, and we had a babysitter at the time because I was working beforehand, and so she would come over and watch him. So that was just a godsend. Her name is Harriet, and I just am so grateful for her. And we had tons of support, but it was hard. It was hard. I missed a lot. My sister-in-law was nice enough to take him to preschool, and because I just felt too bad to even take him there. So, yeah.
And you bring up a great point because we can't do it ourselves. I mean, we have to, you know, throw the pride out the window and look at yourself in the mirror and realize that I am in no position to do all this myself, even though I want to. It's just physically not possible. And so it sounds like you had a great support system through your journey.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. I'll never forget, and I'm still so grateful for it.
Oh, likewise, I am as well. I mean, uh, in fact, I was talking to my son-in-law last night and you know, telling him about how important it is during cancer to get help. And we're talking about this and we're doing the same thing with our granddaughter. I mean, it's hard to do it. You could do it by yourself, I suppose, but even with several hands helping, it's still not easy.
Oh, absolutely.
Wow. That it's great that you had that much support and everything like that. So what was your mindset when you got cancer at your age? and you had a 2-year-old, what were your was going through your mind?
Yeah, at first fear that I wouldn't be around for him. And then I just said to myself, I have to do everything I can to be here for him and my husband at the time. And, you know, just just have that attitude of I'm willing to do what it takes. And I think when you have that big why, why do you want to live? It really helps. So, like I said, I went through 2 surgeries. I needed a total hysterectomy. So, that was really tough because I can no longer bear children. So I went through that as well. And we were blessed enough to adopt a second son less than a year after I was finished with treatment, which was just such an incredible experience. And I just remember, with that, having that double stroller, going for a walk and thinking, my family's complete. And it was just so, so incredible. But yeah, I just was always focusing on the next thing.
I can't even imagine what I can't imagine because I went through it, but to have somebody that young that you're responsible for, that you brought into the world, and now you're worried about your own future as well as theirs. It's an unbelievable thought.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. And he just brought so much joy to my life. When they're two, they're just running all over the place, discovering everything. So it definitely helped a lot just having him around.
Wow, that is fantastic. So what was the time period that you were dealing with cancer at its worst?
Well, so, it was 25 years ago that I found out I had this large mass on my ovary. And, I was 29, like I said, with a 2-year-old. And I was trying to balance career, motherhood, and marriage. And honestly, I wasn't doing a very good job of it. I was completely stressed out. And, the doctors said that I would need to remove it. They didn't know if it was cancer. And I just remember after surgery waking up to my husband's face staring at me as he said, "You have to survive." And, I was pretty out of it. But when I woke up, I later found out that it was stage 3 and it spread to my appendix and my colon. So, as I said before, it was just a very, very scary time. And having those surgeries, I was in a lot of pain and I was in the hospital for a while. And after I was out, I just knew I had to change my life. I knew things couldn't stay the way they were. I was just too
So
imbalanced.
looking back on what happened, would you do everything the same as you did back then, or would you do something different?
So do you mean prior to my cancer diagnosis or after?
Prior.
Yeah, I would have done it differently. I think when you're young, you think you could just do it all. You could handle everything and you don't really listen to your body. And I I knew that I was completely out of balance and completely stressed out, but I'm thinking, "Oh, I'm young, I can handle this." But that's the one thing that I wanna stress to people. If you feel out of harmony in your life or your body is not feeling right, please get it checked out because, your body's giving you a message.
So what would you have done differently going into
Well,
cancer?
that's such a good question because, I was a people pleaser. I went into a career that I didn't love, because I thought, oh, that's what my parents would like me to do. And it was more just pressure from myself. It wasn't really my parents, but I thought, oh, my sister did accounting, so I should go to the business school and all that kind of stuff. And I wasn't living with integrity to my true authentic self. And I think when that happens, your health suffers.
That is a great point. And I think we get so caught up in the world. I talked to someone a couple of days ago, and she said something that just floored me. And she said, and she's almost 80. We're going to be doing an interview. I haven't done it yet, but she's almost 80 years old.
Aw.
And here's what she said. She said, my life before cancer was stupid. And I was like, wow, that's pretty
Bold.
bold, indeed. And so she explained it, and she said, I was living, essentially, she said, I was living my life without a true purpose. And she said, I was following the crowd, and I was, you know, uh, wearing the dresses and going to the parties and doing all that kind of stuff. But I wasn't really living because I didn't understand about life before that. So I was like, wow, that is pretty phenomenal.
Yeah, it's
And
great wisdom.
yes. She's almost 80 years old. In fact, I think she's one of the longest surviving people that I've talked to from cancer. Yeah. But
That's great.
I mean, everybody's everybody's journey is different. Everybody goes through different things. Everybody has a different cancer. Everybody's body is physiologically different. So there is not a one size fits all deal with cancer.
You're
It
absolutely right.
everybody needs to customize their own cancer journey, for lack of a better term, but they have to tailor it to themselves, because if it's not for you, then it's, it may be off, may not work quite as well. And so let's talk about what you do now. How did you transition from cancer into doing what you're doing? And could you explain that, please?
Absolutely. Well, when I was healing from cancer, I was just looking at anything I can do to change my life. I really took a deep, hard look at my life and knew I had to make changes. So, I read self-help books. I went to nutrition classes. We had a local, and we still do, a cancer community here, a nonprofit, and they had classes. And so really I was just starving for information. And then I really began to feel better. My energy came back, and I started to think, what can I do? And it took a while because we adopted my second son. I stayed home with the kids, and then I realized I wanted to do something to help others, people like me who went through cancer treatment and didn't know what to do next. I think, like, for me, and I talked to so many people, that was really the scariest time, when you're finished with cancer treatment, because you're not getting that support from your doctors and nurses anymore. And then, your friends, I mean, as supportive as they are and were, it's kind of like, okay, she's okay, and you're just like thrown back into life, and it's not that easy. I'm sure you could relate to
Oh,
that.
oh yeah. Yeah, there. I mean, sorry to interrupt, but what happened with me was, at the beginning, I had so many people so concerned and interested and everything like that at the beginning that, I mean, I took half my time, I mean, almost all my day, really, talking on the phone and telling people what was going on in between treatments. And I said to my daughter, I said, I can't keep doing this. This is killing me. I mean,
Exhausting.
yeah, it is, because I'd wake up in the morning and it was great on the one hand because so many people were concerned. But, if you look at on the flip side, here I am, fighting for my life and trying to explain what's going on. And, you also have those uh, concerns about what you're doing and how you're doing it. And, so I had to, it's unfortunate that at your worst in cancer is when you have to be very strong because there's so many things coming at you from so many different directions, and you can't just say, hey, universe, just do what you're going to do. I mean, there's a lot of very important and critical decisions that need to be made. And it's
Right.
it's tough. It's really tough.
Right. I remember saying to my husband, I can't go back to work. I can't work in the same place I was working before. It just wasn't good for me. And luckily he supported me in that decision. And I did stay home with the kids for a while. But, back to your question about what I do now and what led me there, I just really got into nutrition. I wanted to look at something I can control. As you know, as a cancer survivor, you feel out of control. You feel like your body failed you. And I thought like, wow, I could eat in a way that supports my body and makes me feel good. So that is where I concentrated on. And then I decided later on to go to school to the Institute for Integrative Nutrition to be a health coach. And I basically worked with a lot of different people for a while, like on weight loss and stress management and all these kind of things. But then I realized I really wanted to work with people that were, in a cancer situation and really was looking for what's next to avoid recurrence. So that's where I've been focusing on since 2012. And it's just been such a passion. And I've met so many incredible people along the way, like you, like Boyd, all these amazing people that I met through also Clubhouse. And so yeah, it's been quite a journey. And I'm actually now studying under Dr. Naisha Winters. I don't know if you're familiar with her, but she has a book called The Metabolic Approach to Cancer. So I've been studying under her since April, and I will graduate in April, and I'll even have more tools under my belt. So yeah, it's just a passion.
Oh, that's awesome. That is awesome. We need so many more people in this world like you.
Oh,
We
thank
really do.
you.
Spreading the truth about nutrition and what nutrition really could do for uh, everybody walking the face of this earth, because it's more important now than ever in history.
You're absolutely right. And, doctors, they get 2 hours of nutrition classes and they really don't know anything about it. Like, I
No,
remember when I was finished with treatment and I was in the hospital and I was asking all these questions about what can I do to avoid recurrence? And I'm like, is there a certain diet I can eat? And I asked all these other questions about support groups and all that, but he had no answers for me. I mean, he said, go back to living your normal life and I'll see you in 3 months. And I was thinking, okay, this isn't going to do it for me. Like, I need to take control over my own health or take my power back when it comes to my health.
I love that. Absolutely. You are so on point with that. I mean, it's critical. Uh, I mean, people have to realize that if you look around your world, and I'm talking anybody's world, why is there so much cancer out there? You know, when we were growing up, and when I was growing up, you know, I'm a lot older than you, and uh, let's keep it that way. Anyway, when I was growing up, we didn't even know what cancer was. It was just not out there. And I think growing up, I recall like maybe one or two people had cancer, and I'd ask my mom, I said, what's cancer? And you know, the answers weren't what they are today. That's for
Mm,
sure. And it, it's so sad, you know, if you look around, and the stats are that by the time a person reaches 50, 1 in 2 men will get cancer and 1 in 3 women. So
you're
what's
right.
what's different? What has changed? And
Toxins and right, the environment and the stress levels. And that's why, when I work with my clients, we work on all that. It's not just nutrition because as you said, there's not one thing that causes cancer. It's a variety of things. And, you know, like I said, if we're not living with integrity to our true selves, our health suffers. If we're in bad relationships, toxic relationships, stress is so huge. And I mean, I'm convinced that that's was my major cause, I guess I would say, of why my immune system just couldn't handle anything, and I did get cancer ultimately, because I was completely stressed and I wasn't handling it well, and we're all stressed. I mean, we all have things, but it's a matter of managing it.
well, no matter what, we all live in this world called Earth. And you know, the earth is going to keep revolving around the sun, and you know, you're going to wake up in the morning, and the sun comes up in the east and sets in the west, and hopefully keeps doing that. uh, but we have to learn how to live in this world that we are in today. You know, we can't live in the past, and we need to deal with the very real things in our world, the toxins, as you mentioned, the preservatives, the chemicals, the air we breathe, the water we drink, the food we eat. These are all the indicators of what, you know, is going on and wrong with our world today.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's so important, and what you're doing is awesome.
Oh, thank you.
It's absolutely awesome, and there's so much light that you could bring to this group. In fact, please, we'll have it in the comment section, and also in the description, where you could find Hayley and what she does. She is absolutely fantastic, and that's why I was really wanting to get her on this channel, because she has
Oh, thank you,
so
Mark.
much to bring to what we do, because nutrition is so critical, and people just don't realize it. You know, we just had Thanksgiving, and people quit asking me how come I'm so picky in what I do and how I do things. And instead of just blindly throwing whatever's in front of you in your mouth, it makes a lot more sense to, in this day and age, to think about it, to think about what's going in your mouth. And
Absolutely. And be mindful of, you know, not only what's going in, but are you eating too fast? Are you not even thinking about what you're eating? And, all that helps. Like when you eat in a slow manner and you really enjoy your food, you're digesting your food better. So that's definitely something to look at too. And just look at all those good nutrients that you can have, all the colorful vegetables and fruits. Um, they have phytochemicals in them, which are plant chemicals that protect our cells from free radical damage, from all these toxins we're surrounded by. So I always tell people, like, eat the rainbow, it's so, so important. And cruciferous vegetables. I mean, that's fantastic to add to the diet because they have sulfur compounds in them. And, that helps rid the body of carcinogens as well as inhibits the growth of cancer cells. So, all your cruciferous cabbage like vegetables, broccoli sprouts. I always tell people, like, broccoli sprouts have 10 times the sulforaphanes, that sulfur compound I was talking about, than mature broccoli. So just taking like a half a cup and putting it on your salads, I mean, that is so detoxifying. Yeah. So just, I have lots of little tips like that, but I love to tell these things to people because they're easy to incorporate into your diet.
It, it always astonishes me what people eat. I go to the grocery store and you walk down and you see all the different things out there, and I think what people need to differentiate is equating taste to being good for you. Is just because it tastes good doesn't mean it's good for you.
Yes.
And so many people look at the way I eat and say, like, aren't you bored with that? Or, aren't you, does it satisfy you? And when you get the taste, everything I eat pretty much is organic as much as possible. And I just love the clean taste of organic fruits and vegetables and meats and all that kind of stuff. Everything, the cleaner it is, the better it'll taste. It'll be more expensive, but it's worth it. It's absolutely worth it.
It is. It is. And just like you said, when you mentioned meat, having pasture raised beef is so important. The way they're raised is so important, and eating grass. So when they eat grass, you produce more omega-3s. They produce more omega-3s, and then you're getting those omega-3s, and that helps with inflammation. And cancer is an inflammatory disease. So you really want to look at all these anti-inflammatory foods, with all these, walnuts and flax seeds and chia seeds. Those are all great things to add to the diet. But yeah, I mean, it's a process. And I always tell people, go slow. I didn't learn this all in one day, but just start off with maybe saying, okay, I'll eat 3 colorful fruits and vegetables a day, different colors, and start there. It's baby steps.
Absolutely. Absolutely. But the most important thing is to do it.
Yes.
That's the most important thing. Hayley, I'd like to invite you back to finish up our conversation, because there's a big topic I want to discuss with you. We're just not going to have enough time to do it because we're running out of time today. But what would be your final thought for this interview that you'd like to share with everyone?
Well, I want people to know that you have the power within you to heal. We're always looking outside of ourselves. And, yes, it's important to get support from people or practitioners, but listen to your intuition, because your intuition knows what is best for you. And there is not just one thing that is best for you. You need to look at a variety of things and really get help, get support from someone who understands and who has been in your shoes. But yeah, that's what I would leave the listeners with.
That is great advice. thank you, everyone, for joining us here at To Be Your Own Hero. And I'm going to end up like I end up a lot. We live in such a toxic world, and toxic from not only the chemicals and preservatives and things in our food and our water and our air, but also the people that we deal with. And if we can, all of us, take a step and make this world better by starting with one person and being good to that person, saying hello, even if you just meet them at the grocery store or at the bank, make an effort to help make somebody else's day better. Because the only way this world we live in is going to get better is if we help to make it better. It's not going to get better on its own. And so that's what we're looking going into 2024. Let's rebuild our country and rebuild our relationships and let's bring people together instead of separating and dividing, because this world needs a lot of healing and a lot of help. And the only way we can do that is by starting with each of us looking in the mirror and going out and doing our share. Start with the people that you care about, your friends and family, and go from there. Go to people that you don't know, and let's help make this better world a better place in 2024. I'd like to thank Go ahead, Hayley.
Oh, I was saying I love it. And if I can just mention one thing, because I forgot, and it's a free resource for people who are looking to get advice, please go to the Cancer Liberation Project. It's the podcast that I host, and I interview survivors who are doing amazing things to help others, as well as practitioners who are thinking outside the box to heal cancer. So I have just so many amazing people on it. Dr. Bruce Lipton, he was incredible. I could just think of so many. Sean Swarner, who has such an amazing story to tell. So I could go on, but please go to that because that's a free resource for you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Hayley. And thank you to everyone out there for joining us here at To Be Your Own Hero. We will see you next week, and have a fantastic week, and we'll see you next time. Thanks.